noticing what the subtle changes are as you lengthen the breath. Feeling the lungs and the belly expand on the inhales. And that light drop of the shoulders, a little bit of a contraction in the lungs and belly on the exhales. And then relax the facial muscles. Relax the neck, shoulders, the arms and hands. Soften the entire torso. Relax the hips, groin muscles, upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles, and soften the entire foot on each side. Starting to find that rhythmic breath, a breath that's a little deeper than you started with, but not so deep that it's challenging to maintain for the next 45 minutes. And then take a scan of your body from the crown of the head through the feet, noticing any areas that are holding tension, any gripping, areas you can release with a few deep breaths, and also noticing areas that may require some healing, some modifications. Keeping those areas in mind throughout the practice. Nothing in yoga should hurt. Backing out of anything that causes pain or discomfort. Take a few more breaths to set your intention. What brought you to your mat this morning? How are you going to move through this practice? And how are you going to approach the rest of your day? Couple more breaths here. If you're on a block, go ahead and come off the block. And then lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling. The eyes can stay closed, gaze can still be down. Dropping those shoulders down away from the ears. Take an inhale here. And on the exhale, tuck that chin towards the chest as you lift chest towards chin. Lengthening the back of the neck, keeping the shoulders relaxed. Inhale to bring the chin through center, towards the ceiling, opening up the front of the neck. Exhale, bringing the head back to center. And we're going to do a slow motion no. Looking from shoulder to shoulder. One more time to each side. And then bring the head back to that center position, and we'll do a few circles with the head in one direction. And in the other direction. Bringing the head back to that center position. Inhale, arms overhead, reaching the fingertips up, lengthening the torso, but keeping that rib cage tucked in. On the exhale, we're gonna bring the hands on top of the shoulders, You can either bring the elbows forward or keep the elbows wide, but we're going to do some elbow circles to warm up the shoulders. One more circle in this direction and reverse. One more circle in this direction. Coming back to that center position, sweep the arms overhead, this time bringing those palms together. Drop the palms over the heart center. One more inhale with palms at center. And on the exhale, we're going to keep the palms at center, but turn to look towards the right. Inhale through center and to the left. One more time to each side. Starting to get a really moderate twist in the spine. We'll meet back in that center position and bring the hands on top of the knees. We're going to start to do a few hip circles. We're going to inhale as we bring that torso forward, navel's coming towards spine. Exhale to bring that torso back, keeping that engagement of the abdominals, navel coming to spine, and trying to keep the sitting bones pretty securely on the mat. One more circle in this direction, and we'll reverse. We're going to do a few things today that is something you can do during your work day. If you have a space that you can do something like this, it really keeps the hips pretty mobile. Coming back to that center position. Take a breath or two here. And then we're going to bring the legs out in front of us. And again, making sure those sitting bones are in contact with the mat. And we're going to lift that right leg, interlacing the hands to support that leg. And then we're just going to lift and lower the lower leg, starting to warm up the knee. I like to have my foot flexed in this pose or this mobility move, but you can also just relax the foot and you can see how it feels different. Next time you come to center, hold there. We're going to start to make some big circles with that right foot. If you're hearing noise in your knee and it feels okay, don't worry about that noise. It's called crepitus, and it's a kind of a crunching of sound in the knee. But if it doesn't hurt, it's okay. If it hurts, then modify what we're doing. Go ahead and reverse direction. And then bring that right foot to center. And we're just going to turn the toes to each direction, sliding the heel back and forth. Starting to get into the internal and external rotation of the knee. A little bit into the hip as well. And then release that right leg. Go ahead and kind of shake the legs out. You can windshield wiper the feet a couple times, side to side. And then we'll come over to the left, lifting that left leg up, supporting it with the interlace of the hands, and starting to warm up the knee. Being mindful that you don't go past where that range of motion feels comfortable. If when you straighten the leg towards the ceiling, there's a lot of tightness in the knee, don't straighten it quite so far. Couple more times. And then bring that knee back to, or the foot back to stillness. And we'll start to do those circles in one direction. And you may find that one knee, it just feels really different than the other. And that'll happen when we do this, some of the knee mobility standing as well. Go ahead and reverse it. And then bring that left foot back to stillness. We'll start to slide the toes and heels opposite directions. Coming back to that center position, release the legs down, windshield wiper the feet a couple times. And then from here, we're going to come into 90-90 mobility knees, which is when that left foot, or if you start facing the left direction, left foot is going to come near the right knee, right foot is going to be slightly behind you or in line with the hip. You may need to, move around a little bit to find a comfortable position. You can keep the hands in front of you, which is going to be a little more challenging than having the hands behind you. And we're going to flip the legs side to side. You may find that you start to move forward. As you're doing this, you do not need to bring the knees all the way down. If you're feeling sensation in the hips and it feels okay, bring the knees down. If it feels better to have the knees a little bit higher, then do that. Next time you bring the knees over to the right, hold them there and see if you can come onto the knees, maybe lifting that left arm up. Taking a breath or two here. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, slow and controlled, bring the sitting bones back onto the mat. Flip the knees over to come over to the left. Right arm lifts, optional, or maybe you're just staying in the 90-90 knees. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, come back to that center position, release the knees. They come towards the ceiling, and then tick-tock the knees a couple times side to side. Coming back to that center position, we're going to come into a table. Checking in, making sure fingers are spread wide. You can see the mat between each finger. Tips of the fingers, base of the fingers are pressing in. Wrist creases right under shoulders, knees are right under hips. And from here, we'll start to do some cat-cows. Feeling those shoulder blades come together in the cow position with belly towards the mat. And then the shoulder blades separating as the crown of the head comes towards the mat, upper back is rounded, tailbones tucked under. Light engagement of those abdominals as you're coming through this cat-cow. One more cat, one more cow. Then we'll meet back in the neutral table position. Wag the tail, bringing those hips towards the shoulders, maybe looking over the shoulders towards the hips. And then come to that neutral position again. And this time we're going to do another mobility move. You want to think about keeping that left hip quiet or trying to get that hip not to move. So we're going to lift that right leg or right knee up to the right side and then extend that right leg out. Scoop that leg behind you, put a bend in the knee and bring it back. And we're going to repeat this a few times, starting to dynamically warm up this right hip. Next time you extend the right leg out, rest that right foot on the inner edge, sweep the right arm up. Big inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. Go ahead and wag the tail a couple times, neutralizing the spine. And we'll meet back in our table position. Checking in, still making sure those fingers are spread wide, wrist creases under shoulders, knees under hips. And then we'll start that flow on this side, lifting left knee, extending left leg, scooping it back. Trying to isolate that hip. Still working on internal and external rotation of that hip. Next time you extend that left leg out, rest it on the inner foot. Shift the weight of the torso into the right hand as you sweep the left arm up. Beautiful. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose, coming back to table. Wag the tail a couple times. And then slowly walk the hands out, press the hips back to come into child's pose. Breath or two here. One more inhale here. One more exhale. On the next inhale, look forward, coming through that table position. And then bringing the hips up and back into our first down dog. And once you're in down dog, pedal the feet. Shifting the knees towards the mat, alternating them. Coming to a still down dog, checking in, little softness in the knees, creating that upside down V with your body. On the next inhale, look forward, step, jump, or walk the feet to a forward fold. Keeping that micro bend in the knees, feeling that engagement under the feet, through the backs of the legs, tailbone through the crown of the head. Shaking everything out. And then bring the fingertips to the mat. Put a little bit more bend in the knees, feeling the belly on the tops of the legs. And then if you want a little more here, grab the elbows, frame the head, and just let everything hang, relax. On the next inhale, slowly straighten the legs, come halfway up, hands can come under the knees, shoulders come down away from the ears. Big inhale here, and on the exhale, fold in. Inhale to come halfway up, scrunch the shoulders towards the ears, tuck the tailbone under as you roll the torso up to standing. Loop those shoulders down and back. Beautiful. From here, we're gonna sweep the arms overhead a few times. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale as you drop the palms over the heart center. Couple more times. And then this time, hold the hands over the heart center, fingertips facing up. Big inhale here. And on the exhale, flip the fingers down, keeping the shoulders relaxed, maybe separating the wrists, maybe pressing the wrists together. Inhale to flip the fingers up. And on the exhale, release the hands. Go ahead and shake them out. And from here, we're going to bring the hands on top of the knees. Feet are rooted onto the mat. And we're going to make some circles with the knees in one direction. I did say that the feet are rooted on the mat, but as you make these circles, the feet are going to lift from the edges to allow the knees to move this way. One more circle in this direction and reverse. Coming back to that center position, roll the torso back up and take a slightly wider stance. You want the feet at least hip width apart, maybe a little bit more. And then from here, we're gonna do what I always call Charleston knees, bringing the hands on top of the knees, and we're gonna make opposite circles with the knees, bringing them out, forward, and towards each other. If any of you can whistle the Charleston, feel free. We'll come forward and then reverse the direction. One more time in this direction, and then come back to center. Go ahead and bring the feet closer together, torsos up, pedal the feet, shifting the weight side to side. And then come back to the neutral stance. We are going to lift the right knee up. If you want a wall or a chair, this is where you may want to use that. From here, we're going to come back to that position of the hands under that right leg. And we're going to slide that right foot side to side. At first, we're going to go slowly. And then if it feels okay, start to speed that pendulum up. Again, we're just getting into that internal and external rotation of both the hip and the knee. And then come back to a center position. Point and flex that right foot a couple times. Rotate the ankle in one direction. Rotate it in the other direction. And then release that right leg. Shift the weight side to side, pedaling the feet a couple times. And we'll do the same thing on the other side, rooting that right leg down, maybe using a chair or the wall. And we'll slide that foot side to side, slow it first. And maybe you stay in that slow speed, that works. It's still beneficial. And then if you want, starting to get faster. Coming back to that center position. Point and flex that foot a few times. Rotate the ankle in each direction. Coming back to that center position, release that left leg. Pedal the feet a couple times and step to the top of your mat. From here, sweep the arms overhead. Nice tall spine here. On an exhale, swan dive down, hinging at the hips, shaking out head, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands, stepping back to that table or plank position. Coming through your transition, maybe adding push-ups, eliminating push-ups. We'll meet back in down dog. And once you're in down dog, pedal the feet a couple more times. Notice how the second down dog is feeling compared to the first. Coming to a still down dog. Inhale, right leg up. Drop that right foot over the left hip, rolling the hips open. Inhale to extend the leg out. And on the exhale, step that right foot through to the hands, turning that left foot flat. Inhale, arms up, into warrior one. Right knee is pulling towards the right little toe. Left hip is drawing forward, right hip is drawing back. One more inhale here, and on the exhale, open to the long side of the mat, gazing over that right hand. We're going to start to straighten and bend that right knee. Hopefully that right knee is feeling nice and mobile this morning after the warm-ups. Next time you put a bend in that knee, hold there. Flip the right palm over. Take an inhale as you tip back, peaceful warrior. Left arm comes down, left leg, or hooks on to the back of that right hip. Feeling that opening on the right side of the torso. Inhale to come back through the T, straightening that right leg. Lengthen the torso over that leg to tip into triangle. You can keep the arms in a straight line. You can drop that left hand onto the left hip. Yogi's choice here. Torso is gently pressing back. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to put a slight bend in that right knee. Windmill the hands to either side of the right foot As you slowly swivel those left toes to track straight, you may want to bring the left foot in slightly. You're still in the wide stance on the railroad tracks versus the tightrope. And then see if you can drape the torso over that right leg, coming into a pyramid. If you have blocks, this might be a place that you use your block on any setting, or a book wrapped with a towel. You're still drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, put a bend in the right knee. Hands come to either side of that right foot, stepping back to plank or table, choosing your transition. We'll meet in down dog. Notice how that right side of the body feels compared to the left. And then inhale, left leg up, dropping left foot over right hip, rolling the hips open on this side. Inhale to extend the leg out, and on the exhale, step that left foot through to the hands, turning that right foot to an angle. Inhale, arms up, warrior one on this side. And think about your right hip. Right now, you're getting that external rotation. Exhale, warrior two. We'll start to bend and straighten that front leg. Each time you come into the bend, if it feels comfortable, see if you can get a little bit lower. If you're experiencing knee pain, keep that knee in a subtle bend, not quite so deep. Making sure those left toes are in front of the knee. Knee is pointed towards that pinky toe. Hold in that warrior two with the knee bend, gazing over the left hand. Relax the shoulders over the hips. Flip that left palm up, big inhale here. And on the exhale, tip back. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, come through the T, straightening that right leg, lengthen the torso over that leg to tip into triangle. Drawing left hip back, right hip forward, maybe keeping that right arm towards the ceiling or dropping it onto the right hip. Hamstring stretch here. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to put a slight bend in the left knee so we can windmill the hands either side of that left foot. Swivel those right toes to track straight, maybe bringing that right foot in to drape the torso over the left leg. Trying to draw that left hip back, which is going to help the right hip come forward. One more full breath here, seeing where you can soften, where you can let go in this pose. And then slowly shift the weight into the left leg and step that right foot next to left, coming back to a forward fold. Shaking out head, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands, stepping back to plank or table. This time we're going to bring the knees to the outside edges of the mat. Bring the big toes together and press the hips back. If child's pose is more comfortable here, you can bring the knees parallel. You can keep the toes turned under. One more full breath here. And then slowly look forward. We're going to come through the table, putting a cross in the ankles, rolling over the legs to come into a seated position with the knees bent. From here, we're going to come into a boat pose. Your options are to keep the hands by the hips, bring the hands under the thighs, or if you're looking for more, you can bring the arms in front of you. If you still want a little bit more, take an inhale with arms at center, exhale to twist to one side, inhale to center, Exhale to twist to the other side. Inhale back to center. From here, you can come into a reverse table by planting the hands, bending the knees, pressing the hips up. Or if you prefer, you can come into a reverse plank, trying to get the soles of the feet onto the mat, looking behind you, looking in front of you. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, release the pose. And we're going to come into bound angle, putting a bend in the knees, soles of the feet come together, interlacing the fingers over the toes, and then lengthening the spine as much as you can before you hinge at the hips to fold in. Once you've got that fold and can keep the length in the spine, then you can drop the head down if that feels okay. Few breaths here. You can stay in this bound angle, or if you're looking for a little bit more balancing, come onto your sitting bones, wrapping that pointer and middle finger around the big toes, and find your balance on your sitting bones. If you're still looking for more, you can open up with one leg, you can open up with both legs, coming into a bear pose. Wherever you're at, we're going to come back to that bound angle, fold back in a little bit deeper, and then slowly roll the torso up. Bring the hands under the knees, scoop the knees together, hands come by the hips, windshield wiper the knees side to side. Coming back to that center position. And from here, we're gonna grab our giant imaginary beach ball to control the motion of coming down one vertebra at a time onto our backs. And once you're down, knees come into the chest. You can rock side to side a few times. You can make some small circles on that low spine. Coming back to that center position, hug the knees in, inhale, forehead to knees, and on the exhale, release head, neck, and shoulders. And we're gonna bring that left ankle on top of the right knee. You can keep that right foot planted if that feels good. You can allow that right calf to float, or you can engage the right calf. You can gently press that left knee away if it feels okay. And then draw that right knee, left calf towards the chest. The sensation most likely is being felt on the outside of that left hip and glute. So you're looking for a comfortable sensation with no force. Staying with the breath. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to slide that left knee to cross the right, maybe grabbing the feet, the ankles, the calves, and then draw the knees back towards the chest. Changes the stretch, hopefully, to the low back. One more inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll uncross the knees, hug them in, and then we'll switch sides. Right ankle on top of left knee, finding what works for that left calf, and then drawing left knee, right calf towards the chest. Noticing if one hip is tighter or one glute is tighter than the other, keeping the head, neck, and shoulders relaxed, facial muscles soft. One more full breath cycle here. And then release the hands, slide that right knee over left, choosing how you want to take the pose with the hands on the feet, ankles, calves, maybe around the knees. breathing into this. Take one more inhale here. And on the exhale, unwind the knees, hug them in. And then we're going to bring the arms to cactus arms or to that T shape and drape the knees over to the left. If you've got a tweaky back, bring the knees a little higher than the hips. If it feels okay, you can extend the legs on the diagonal, but just finding a pose that works for you. Shoulder blades stay on the mat. Maybe the knees are all the way down to the mat. Maybe they're slightly up. Gaze can be up at the ceiling or over the right shoulder. One more full breath cycle here. And then slowly bring those knees through center and drape them over to the other side. Couple more breaths here. On the next inhale, slowly bring those knees back to center. And we're going to plant the feet about hip width apart. You can bring the arms along your sides. And then from here, we'll take a bridge pose, thinking about pressing into the soles of the feet as you start to tuck the pelvis under just slightly, lifting the hips towards the ceiling. Relaxing head, neck, and shoulders. And the bridge doesn't have to be very high to be beneficial. You may be feeling this in your hamstrings or your glutes. You can act as if you have a block between the knees and you don't want to let that block fall, or you can actually use a real block if you'd like. Take one more inhale here, and on the exhale, release the bridge. And we're going to draw the knees towards the shoulders to come into happy baby. Grabbing ankles, arches, big toes. Think about pressing the feet towards the ceiling. And you can do that press for just a breath or two and then release it. But it gets a little bit more into those inner leg muscles. Wherever you're at, if you want to rock side to side, you can do that. Meet back in that center position and extend the legs towards the ceiling, interlacing the hands behind the legs, maybe pointing and flexing the feet a few times, or just staying in candlestick with the feet still. You can rotate the ankles if you want in each direction. Bringing the feet back to stillness, sweep the arms overhead, either with the elbows bent or in that Y shape. Take one more inhale here, and on the exhale, draw the knees in one last time. We're going to come into final relaxation. If you want to grab an extra layer, blanket, eye pillow, head pillow, whatever you'd like. Go ahead and do that now. And then when you're ready, allow the feet to find the corners of the mat. Or if it's more comfortable, you can put a bend in the knees, allowing the knees to rest on one another, feet out wide. Arms are along your sides, palms facing up. Integrating everything we've done. Coming back to the breath and taking rest. slowly start to deepen your breaths. Bringing awareness to your senses. Rolling your head side to side. Wiggling fingers and toes. Rotating wrists and ankles. And sweeping the arms overhead to take a full body wake-up stretch from the tips of the fingers all the way through the toes. And roll onto your side. And make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Eyes can be closed, gaze can be down. Bringing the palms together over the heart center. Taking a few more deep cleansing breaths. Revisiting what your intention was. And taking a few more breaths to reflect on how you can cultivate more kindness and compassion for yourself and for others. And I thank you for sharing this practice with each other and with me this morning. And may the light in me honor the light in each of you. Namaste.